In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you. In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
I don't know why I'm laughing. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this slightly impromptu stream with myself, Steve-O. I've got a couple of special guests for us to talk with tonight, but I'm not going to lie, it's a bit of a clickbaity title, but there's a genuine reason why I've decided to do a stream tonight, along with a couple of mates, co-hosts, along with Dan and Statman, and there's maybe a possibility of a special guest appearance from somebody else as well. I know you're listening, so I have already asked you to come on, so please do. But yeah, -8, Trent Alexander-Arnold captain, wildcarding. Yeah, there's a catalyst as to why I did this. It's because of something that Dan said to me on what day did I do the stream? Wednesday evening, and he messaged me a jokey message saying I'm just going to do a -24. And I said, if this is serious, can you come live on air and we'll just discuss it right now? And then he said, no, I'm only joking. I'm probably going to do a -8. So, but the reason being why he said that is because, like me, I'm just kind of like, it kind of goes on to what someone said in the chat the other day about, if Steve-O doesn't care about FPL, then why does he do all this, blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm not going to go specifically into that, but it's more the fact that this season, along with the two guests that I've got on now, has just been so frustrating and really, really just annoying, where to the point of where, like, I am probably going to end. In fact, that should say Trent Alexander-Arnold captain, to be fair. I don't know why that's not done that, but let's just quickly make that as captain. Yeah, there we are. Done. Yeah, it's just got to the stage now where I'm just going, there's my team, it's done. I'm not doing any research. I don't care about anything. I'm just, there's my team, it's done. Any transfers I want to do, that's it, done. I'm not going to be looking at any form of statistics or anything. I just feel like, you know what, if this is who I want to captain, this is who I'm going to captain. If this is the transfers I want to do, this is what I'm going to do. Because nothing this season seems to be going right. If you're doing really, really well, to name a few that are here right now, our man Dylan and Sultan Saeed and our Cashman League. FPL Boona, I know, is doing, well, he was doing well. It's taken a bit of a slump as of late. For you guys, it's just a case of just do defensive moves, just stick to the safety and everything. Whereas people like myself, you know, I'm in the Cash Mini League. I am 137 points off 4th spot, and as I mentioned on Wednesday, as Jason mentioned yesterday on his stream, actually, it's just not catchable. And I've got to do. I mean, Kev, that we'll bring on in a minute, made this point that you gotta take certain risks. And last night. This morning when I was listening to Jason's stream and he revealed what he did, I was like, wow, fair play without the other F word. Cracking, move. I was like, you know what, Jason, that's a swift kind of move, that what you've done there. Sterling in for, I don't remember the specific moves he did, but the point being, he got rid of Aguero. Once again, I found it fascinating, the whole hindsight thing and everything, and how Jason made the point in the stream last night. You know, he was like, all these people told me how ridiculous it was keeping Aguero. Well, look what he's done. And now all you people, now I've got rid of Aguero, albeit it was on Saturday evening to fund the move to get in Kevin De Bruyne, and then all saying to him, well, essentially what an idiot he is. And it just amazes me. You're only an expert until the circumstance or whatever happened, until the event happens. And I know, I'm assuming Jason will listen to this back, or he'll be listening potentially in this car now. And I like those moves. I actually really did like those moves that you did. But yeah, I am going to bring on a couple of guests. But before I do that, good evening to Mohammed Dharma, One Rovers Vlogs, Sultan Saeed, Sean Baburam, Tobias, Chelsea 5-ish, FPL Boona, Padrak Donnelly's, Alpha 9. We got a runner, James Bang. James Bang, if you want to come live on air as well, please do, because I know you're having a bit of a stinker of a season. So please please jump in. Armandin, like I said, Daniel Amara here. Good evening. Many more Vish. Fire Talks here. Well done. Jason is here. 2020 Steve is like 2019. Yeah, kind of. Although nothing seems to go my specific way. Bilal making the point. Steve, don't give up, mate. There are many game weeks left. Yeah, possibly, but nah. Just it ain't happening. Not into the whatchamacallit, top four. Well, fourth place anyway. Romello here, Nafelu, Paulie's here, Daily Llama. Good evening, my friend. Enjoy your train journey. He's had a few sherbets. Oh, Vince Chapman's here as well. But what was I going to say? Yeah, a bit of news as well coming out today. That the Richarlison news specifically is the main talking point. The fact that Richarlison is now out, injured. Hello, another hoops. Good evening. He's out. Richarlison. He's out with a back injury, and yeah, thank God I didn't take that transfer, basically. But it doesn't really matter. I wasn't going to make any transfers this week anyway. Rashford with his back injury, is he going to start? I don't think he will. But it's up against Liverpool. It's a huge game. And some news about Danny Ings and possible rotation. Hasenhüttl coming out and saying that he can't be allowed to play for the amount of time that he did over Christmas, despite coming through it all okay. And he's actually come out and said there's a chance that it could be rotation because there is midweek fixtures next week. I didn't actually I did know this, but it was only till I was reminded. So yeah, I'll just quickly bring it up on screen now. That yeah, we've got midweek fixtures, which is great. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Oh yes, it's the double game week, of course. What am I thinking of? So yeah, there we have it. Next week we've got blimey. Wow, you know what? It just comes out the blue, doesn't it? Extraordinary. But yes, let's bring on my guests. Like I said, two other well, I've already mentioned the two of them, Dan and Statman, about their frustrations this season, and we'll bring them on right now. In fact, James Bang is here, so we'll get all three of them on. I'll quickly start with Dan. Evening, Dan. Welcome. You're live on air.
When was it? Oh, we've been doing the pre-podcast podcast.
Okay, well, you know what? Let's. Were you speaking to James as well?
No.
Okay, we'll quickly bring on Statman then. Statman, we've interrupted your conversation with Dan. What were you talking about?
We were talking about Newcastle, Chelsea, but we're also slagging off Maddison.
Yeah.
Go for it. Talk to us live on air. Slag off Maddison. Talk to us. The forum's yours, guys. Don't be shy.
Well, Statman, if you want to go, because you own Maddison, so if you want to digress on what we were saying.
I do, Steve. It's not just Maddison. It's the whole Rashford. You know, hearing this morning that Ollie is edged more that he's going to miss the Liverpool game, and my planned transfers with Rashford was always to get Sterling in, and we're just discussing the chances of Maddison trolling you. If I take Maddison up to Sterling away to you guys, and then we've got West Ham at home, and he just seems like one of them players, you know. Sydney Hammer was talking to us and said he's trolled him for seasons now. You know, he'll bring him in, he'll blank for 3, he'll take him out, and he'll get his 10, 12 pointers. And we're just discussing how much it hurts when you do that, like the KDB example earlier in the season. That has scarred me, so it's made us very nervous about taking Maddison out against you boys.
Can you elaborate on the scarring of KDB? I'm not going to lie, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not going to lie about that. Could you just remind me and the audience what you are referring to?
Oh, you know, Steve. You
I
just
really
want
don't, I really don't. Please tell us.
For everyone that took KDB out, I'm not sure what the game week was. Pre-Christmas for Son when Spurs looked like they turned the corner, and I did KDB to Son. Son blanked, went on to get a red card in the future weeks, and KDB hauled his 19 points, which I think was his biggest haul of the season. And I took him out. I took him out for a hit, and I couldn't look at my phone in regards to FPL for a good week after. And my brain was replaying it. Why did you do it? Why did you do it? So that's what I'm nervous about, taking Maddison out, even though he's not in the best form. You know, Leicester are hitting a bit of a poor patch, but the fixtures are good. Yeah, so it's just the worry of getting trolled again, like KDB did.
What were you specifically then saying, Dan, regarding this subject?
I was just saying to Statman that, you know, I think Maddison kind of flatters to deceive a little bit, and we were looking at it like, obviously early in the season he was doing really well, and he seems to do well against, you know, the big teams. I know he scored against Liverpool at Anfield, you know, scored against Spurs, got that free kick for the winner, scored against us earlier on in the season. So he does have form, and he can, like, you know, he can haul. I mean, he did against Newcastle. Sorry, mate, to remind you about that one, but obviously it's been 2 points, 11 points, 1 point, 1 point, 2 points, 2 points, 9 points, 10 points, 2 points, 3 points. So you get the idea. He has these kind of purple patches, and then he just goes quiet for a few games. So, and considering his price is 7.7 as well, is a bit how I've always felt. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but in terms of FPL, it's like maybe there's better options out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think personally, I mean, it's a slight dilemma I'm going through. Ironically, the Richarlison injury has actually made it a bit easier for myself, the fact that he's now out. I was actually contemplating get rid of Maddison and Sayuncu for Richarlison and, I don't know, Stevens as an example from Southampton for a -4, but that's actually now, I'm not having to worry about that. But Dan, like I said, you were the catalyst of this specific show tonight, and I'm not going to lie, like I say to a lot of people on this stream, I just think, do you know what, I'm bored. I've got fantasy football a bit on my mind after what you were talking about. I was listening to Planet FPL's shows regarding Sky and the West Ham Liverpool games from the other weekend, and I just thought, you know what, I just feel like speaking to someone else about all this. And you joked about taking a -24. Obviously, you were being facetious, but you were seriously contemplating taking a -8. But the thing is that you just said that you just don't care, so to speak, anymore. I mean, ironically, you were on the exact same number of points as Kevin. 1,174. You've just played your wild card. I've got your team up on screen at the moment, and you're seriously, genuinely contemplating a -8. Tell us the reasoning as to why.
I was at 1 point, Steve. I mean, I was saying to Statman in the build up, like, I just don't trust Calvert-Lewin, although Everton have got some good fixtures coming up. And I keep being stubborn about Danny Ings, and it's like it keeps biting me in the backside every week, kind of like, oh, he's going to pick up an injury soon, or his form's going to drop off. And as I said the other day, I'm getting frustrated with Traore as well, because he seemed to be, you know, a nice little differential in terms of the Cash Mini League to get in there, and he just hasn't really done anything. So I'm almost thinking I'm better off taking a hit, maybe not an 8-point hit. That was a bit of a, I don't know. It gets to the point where I was looking at my team, and I was going to do an -8 possibly, and I was thinking, God, this is a bit mental to do a -8 after a wild card. But just desperate to get some more differentials in there to kind of just take what I'm trying to say is to go away from the template and just take a risk. And start enjoying playing the game a bit more, really, rather than being sort of safe.
Can you elaborate on that? What do you mean enjoying the game? Well, I've already made the point that, I'm kind of like, I'm just setting for forgetting, give or take my team. I'm not going to lie, when you listen to, I only listen to Planet FPL and another couple of other content creators that are actually friends. Do you know what? Let's just say them. Davey FPL, FPL Penguin and Block FPL. They're the other three that I listen to. And I obviously your mindset gets a bit swayed by three other people that are doing really, really well this year and everything. I'm not going to lie. But you then do start doing streaming and everything, and then it just comes down to that whole, like, I wish I just played with stuck with my gut and all that malarkey, and it just takes the fun out of it. And again, do you want to just elaborate on that, what you meant by that, Dan, without, like you said, sabotaging your team? What do you mean?
Well, it's kind of like you look at it and you think, yes, I've made the logical choices and everything, and it all seems to make sense, and you feel confident. You have this you have this boneheaded optimism before game weeks, and you think, yeah, I think me as an FPL manager, I'm a bit inhibited sometimes. It's only until the pressure's really off towards the end of the season that I start taking these punts and I start being a bit risky in it, and it actually pays off, and you start to get a bit of a buzz about it. Because even if, like, if you look at my team now, even if that does pay off, it's still like, I know it sounds weird saying, but it's still like kind of a lot of everyone else's team. So I know that's the whole point of FPL, to get differentials and get players in. But like I said, we're into like the business end of the season now. We've got a double game week coming up after this game week. We've got the winter break coming up soon and all this stuff, and cash. The gap is getting wider and wider. So I don't know, just take a real damn ball gamble, as they say, and just do something. And I obviously, as you know, I watch a lot of football, and it's like, as an example, it's like James from Chelsea. Seen him playing recently, and he's 5 million, and he's been playing really well. So like, even like a player like that, just get him in instead of like Sadavia that everyone seems to have, and just see how it goes, really.
And what are your thoughts, Kev, on that specific what Dan was saying about the fact that have fun with the game, and you've just mentioned the fact that your plans are a bit scuppered with this Rashford news and everything. Do you want to talk about the fact that you've just, let's be honest here, losing the fun with this game, so to speak?
Yeah, it's like, we can all be a bit sour when we're not doing that well. And you can't lie, when you're doing well, it is fun. It's more fun, you're more active, you want to talk FPL more. Not saying that like myself and Dan that shy away, but it's just more enjoyable when things are coming off. So it's interesting. I didn't realize me and Dan were on the same point. So
yeah.
This will be an interesting chat. But yeah, I'm in the same boat, Steve. I've lined up. I've looked at a wildcard even this morning. I was playing around and chucking in.
Tell it. Okay. Right, so you've just mentioned that you've been playing with a potential wildcard. Now I know Boona has hit his wildcard. For example, and do you know what? I'll bring it up on screen, his specific wildcard team, and I'm wondering, Kev, if this is kind of along the lines of what you're thinking of doing once I get out of this particular screen here. So yeah, what players were you thinking of, like particularly bringing in, like maybe from a differential standpoint? Do you have like an 11 in mind that you were pretty much going with?
Well, it's like, it's my team. My team is like 5 that 100% would get rid of. On like tomorrow, bang, for this game week, I'd get shot at them. But then it'd be the wild card.
Who would they be? Who would those?
Who would I definitely get rid of? Willems, Zaha, Traore, Rashford. Did I say Zaha? I could play Kelly. Now Kelly's lost his space. I could sort him out. I want to keep Morpay. I want to keep Vardy. Say Maddison. I could get rid. There's could-haves. I could get rid of Maddison. I could really butcher my team and change 7 of the first 11. or I can do like a -8 or something. I'm caught right in the middle, to be honest, Steve. I'll be interested to see Buna's team and see if it could inspire us into hitting the button.
Well, up on screen, I mean, Brew has just announced on the screen there that he hit his wildcard button a few hours ago. Interesting. So I mean, I put up a relatively clickbaity title, and yet we've got Dan that's already played his wildcard. We've got yourself, who's, you know what, potentially thinking about it. We've got Buna that has hit his wildcard button. Up on screen now is his team. And we've got Brew that has now said that he's hit his wildcard. Now, Boona's team as it stands right now is McCarthy in goal of Southampton, Webster of Brighton, Holgate, Alexander-Arnold, Son captain. Wow. Okay. Mane, Salah. Now these are the differentials. Mahrez, Mopé in there, and then Calvert-Lewin, and then just a bench fodder, really, so to speak. But looking at that team or listening to that team, Kev, is that the kind of general idea you'd be going for? Do you think that team there is potentially like, I'm chasing points? They've already got their points, like Mahrez, for example, and everything. Or do you think, no, that looks like a really solid team moving forward?
It does look like a good team, doesn't it? Nothing at all like the one I quickly built this morning. Webster's a good shout, though. I like Brighton's fixtures. He's cheap. He's got 3 goals, I think, already. Holgate, I haven't got him. I talked about bringing him in. I didn't. I wish I had. But Evan, once their fixtures changed, you know, they picked up a few clean sheets. Son I'm bringing in for Norwich, so I don't think it's a bad move to bring him in a week early away to Watford. It could be a few goals in that. Mahrez is still a bit of a strange one for me because he's trolled us in seasons past, and although he seems to be getting a lot more minutes on a regular, you just can't help think that he's going to be rested this week. You know, I'd feel like that every week. I've had City assets. I've been burned with Aguero, you know, sitting on the bench 2 weeks in a row. So it's a risk, but it's a risk that will pay off. And like you say, his 2 forward guys are pretty much who I've got more pay, and I'm looking at bringing Calvert-Lewin in myself. So yeah, it's a solid team. It's not similar to the team I built, which is interesting, but yeah, there's points all over the board, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. Dan, you're somebody that has just recently wildcarded. You've been talking about the fact that you've taken you're just considering taking a -8 hit and everything. You look at Boona's team. He's going through that dilemma of, do I choose that player? Do I go with this player? Tell us the thought process of how you were feeling when you were doing with your wildcard, or was it just a case of, I just don't care about this game, these are the players I'm having done, or are you doing what Boona's doing, which is, no, I need to look into a bit more detail moving forward with the players that I want?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that he's got Son and Mahrez in. I did big up Mahrez before, so that could pay off for him, but yeah, I mean, like I said, in terms of my wild card, my hands were kind of tied. I had Heaton injured, I had Kane injured. And, you know, as I was saying to Statman before we came on air, you know, Zaha, Lucas Moura were just stinking up my team. And I knew I wasn't going to get the returns from those 2 players, and I had 2 players injured. So effectively, I had 4 players that needed to be removed from my team. So I had to do something, and I had to be, you know, I was thinking about a double game week coming up as well. Wanted to get Mane and Salah in to obviously get Salah into my team. So that took a bit of restructuring. So it just seemed like, and I kind of wanted to get interested back into the season again, because I feel like my season is drifting away from me. But I just want to reveal that I've just done a transfer at this moment.
What live on air?
Yeah, I've got. While you guys were talking, I'm just.
See, before you continue, Dan, right? This is kind of like. This is kind of like where I think sometimes my downfall happens, and Kev, I wonder if you can relate with this, where you're listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video, whatever, and the particular individuals on the show are talking about X player. and then you just think, do you know what? They're talking sense. Let's just do a transfer without even thinking about it. Can you relate with that, Kev?
Yeah. Yeah. More so, it puts ideas out of my head. So I'll be dead set on an idea. I'll just be waiting, doing the correct thing. You know, I'm not going to get priced out. I'll wait. I'll listen to every podcast out there. I'll just be, you know, and then by the end of the week, I've heard that many people talk against the decision I was thinking, oh no, I can't do that now. So-and-so said it's a bad move. So-and-so said it's, and then come the weekend, I don't pull the trigger and that player returns. So I can definitely be influenced either way for sure.
So Dan, your team's up on screen. You've just told us live on air that you've done a transfer. Reveal it. What have you done?
Yeah. I think I must have put something in that Robinson squash because it's quite daring of me. But so I've got rid of Adama Traore and I've got in Callum Hudson-Odoi.
Okay. Let's be serious about things here. I will say this to the day I die. Every time I hear the name Hudson-Odoi, I do your line, which is Hudson-Odoi, but. When I was listening to, do you know what? I think it may have actually been you, Kev, on with Jason last night. But I'm sure the name Hudson-Odoi was mentioned. It may have been, I can't remember now. It may have even been Planet FPL. But they mentioned Hudson-Odoi. And Dan, how much is he? 5.8? Something like that?
5.3.
He's 5.3. He's up against your guys, Newcastle. Now, Dan, you predicted where are we here? A 2-1 victory to Chelsea. Kev, you were making the point to Jason last night that actually your record at home against Chelsea, you haven't lost in the last 6 or something like that. I'll get your thoughts as a Newcastle fan straight away, and then we'll go back to Dan. What are your thoughts on Dan bringing in Hudson-Odoi against, obviously, you lot?
I haven't owned Hudson-Odoi. I luckily didn't jump on the bandwagon when it kicked off earlier in the season when they bought he get injured. Something happened and it looked like he was going to come in. But you can't deny he's not a good player. But I haven't been watching Chelsea that close. I'm not sure how his minutes have been recently.
Well, essentially, he's correct me if I'm wrong, Dan. But when the season started, he didn't play because he was injured. And then he got fit again. He then broke into the team. Actually did really, really well. He was bringing in quite a few. What I'll do is I'll bring him up on screen now so that we can all have a look at this, literally live. I'm pretty sure that he broke into the team. He did pretty well. I mean, I remember owning him and actually having... Yeah, so the opening 7-8 fixtures, he didn't play a single minute. He then between... game weeks 7 up to 17 was in and out of the team. I mean, the most consistent was actually between game week 7 and 10. But in that time, that's right. Oh, that's correct. So he got 3 assists in a row, and I remember he got a goal. Is that right in the Champions League, Dan?
Yes, yeah, and he got a goal in the FA Cup recently against Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, so he got a goal in the time between game week 7 to 9. He then got injured against Burnley in the 4-2 win against us. He then was sporadically coming back, and then essentially Frank Lampard just didn't put him in the team. And then over the last few game weeks, 19 to 22, he's just built up his fitness again, match fitness, I suppose, and scores his first goal. Like you said, he scored in the FA Cup. Dan, do you feel excited about this specific this move that you brought in? And what have you done?
I do actually, yeah. Yeah, no, I do because, like I said, I'm getting frustrated by Traore with his returns over the last few game weeks, and I just think, do you know what? For 5.3, why not have a go with him? Really, like you said, this time last year he was very much linked with Bayern Munich. They were very serious about buying Hudson-Odoi, and obviously they've got Gnabry and lots of other talented players. So and he was straight into the England team pretty much before he played a Premier League game. So that tells you the quality of player that Hudson-Odoi is. And I was impressed with him against Burnley. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a risk. But, I mean, why the hell not? Traore will probably score like a brace tomorrow. now I've said all this, but yeah, you know, let's see what happens, and let's see how many more hits I take during the course of the podcast.
I'm gonna bring on another guest. It's a friend of the show. It's James Bang. Hello, James. Bring on another guest. James, are you with us? You're listening back to the stream.
Hello, Steve.
Hello, James. All well and good over there?
Yeah, all good, thank you. It's I think 3 a.m.
So let's just bring up your team and everything. But you're another player that's having a very frustrating season this year.
I've written down my frustrations and I'm going to vent them all out here.
Nice.
The forum is yours. Go for it.
All right. So I've listed out the things that I've done this season that have just gone terribly wrong. Yeah. So Gameweek 21, I captained KDB, thinking awesome. He's red hot form, and then he goes and plays CDM. And do you guys remember the Tammy injury in Gameweek 14? I decide to bring in Jimenez Gameweek 15. He blanks. Tammy returns back immediately, gets a haul that week. So I decide to switch back to Tammy. And then Tammy blanks 16 to 19, and Jimenez scores every week from 16 to 19. So that went terribly wrong. Ali, he returns 4 in a row. I'm thinking, great, you know, he's working out well with Tottenham and Mourinho's new system. Bring him in. He blanks 5 of the next 6. Martial, bring him in early, thinking he's an out-of-position player. Brilliant value. He gets injured. All right, then. Give him a second chance. He gets injured again. So I'm like, I'm done with Ali for the season. And he goes and returns 2 double-digit hauls 4 out of the next 7 weeks. I don't have him in my team. There's more. Gaza. Since game week 12, I brought him in. He's had 1 clean sheet. He's faced the likes of West Ham, Bournemouth, Burnley, Brighton, Norwich, and Southampton. And so I decided this week to get rid of him and go to a 4.0 keeper, which is Button. And of course, he drops in price the week I bring him in. But not only that, my other keeper, Ramsdale, is now injured, so I might have to take a hit to have to field a full team. Aubameyang, game week 1 to 7, goes on that great run, yeah? Bring him in game week 8, blanks, 8, 9, 10, has 1 return 11, blanks 12, ship him out. Then he returns 4 of the next 5 with 2 double-digit returns. And the last one, Callum Wilson, same thing. Scores 7 in a row. You're thinking, great, good form. He's got Arsenal, Norwich at home, Watford next. Bring him in. Of course, he blanks. He hasn't even scored since then. So it's just been a really frustrating season. Everything you do that seems logical just hasn't been working out.
Yeah, we've had a stat man. You must be able to relate with James on this.
Yeah, definitely not on. Some of them points went my way, but obviously I've got a list of things that hurt just as much as James is expressing there. But it's quite funny listening to someone rant, because I pretty much do that rant to my missus every weekend, and she doesn't give a damn. So she's just sitting there rolling her eyes, as I'm reeling off my shockers for the season. So it's actually quite therapeutic to hear someone else just hit it all out like that.
Yeah, Bilal is asking you a question, James, because now we preface this by saying that you actually started, 1 week late?
Yeah, started game week 2, so I'm still around the 2 million range. But if you look at my team, there's nothing wrong with my team, right? There's Alexander-Arnold, Lundstrom, so you're into the standard back 3. Got Salah, Mane. Since I've done the double up the last 3 weeks, they've done Jackal, Maddison, De Bruyne. Calvert-Lewin's supposed to have easy fixtures. He's blanked the two last games I brought him in. Vardy's been, gone with his baby, and decided to finally bring Ings in. So I'll probably break Ings as well.
And of course,
it's just been one of them seasons.
We've had the news today from Hasenhüttl that legitimately that he's come out with a line about the fact that Ings may not be able to play 2 games in a row with the quick turnaround. So there's a chance that Ings potentially could get rested over the next 2. Simple question for you, James, really is that how much research do you put into bringing in players?
You're not going to believe it. I spend every hour, minute, day of my day that I'm not working or with the family on FPL, which is literally 10, 20 hours a week. You
Do
know,
you really?
I spend, I listen to not just you guys or Planet FPL, I listen to about 8 different bloody podcasts. I'll research stats, put, a lot of time into this, a lot of thought, and nothing's working out. So I just think it's just one of them seasons. But hopefully, I can make a second half comeback because I do take this game really seriously, put a lot of time into it. I check the injuries every week, look up all the stats and really do all the research I can.
Dan, you're somebody that does like listen to various content creators and everything. You must basically feel for James with the amount of hours that he's putting into it, and just nothing seems to be paying off.
No, yeah, I do. Like I say, you listen, you intake all that information, and it just like fries your brain, and you sort of pulled in one way to the other way. I mean, I was listening to the FPL General on my walk home, and he wasn't really having it about Sterling, saying that he's not sure he's going to start, and saying that even if he does start, he's not on form. And then obviously you guys, when we before we started, Kev was bigging up Sterling. So like you hear so many different things, and like when he was reading off that list, I had a list in my own mind of things that have gone wrong for me this season. Mane, captaining him against Brighton, did nothing. And also captaining Sterling home to Chelsea. Chelsea, Man City's already 2-1 up. Ball comes over, Sterling scores a legitimate goal, and then VAR says, it's about 0.5 centimetres offside. So I'm there going loopy, thinking, yes, my differential captain's paid off. I'm loving life, and, obviously nice to see Chelsea losing as well. It's all happy days. And then, oh no, VAR's just, ruined my game week. And like I said, there was a run of like 3 or 4 game weeks where I was just doing absolutely terrible, and that curtailed my season. So here we are on Elite FPL Therapy at the moment.
Kevin's just heard all that, but I haven't. Basically, I was just saying to Kevin that idiot. You are the stat man. So James puts 20 hours a week into this game. Are you doing that much research, or is it just a case of no? I'm sick to death of this now. Let's just play the game for the eye test.
Steve-O Stream says you've been muted.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I know.
Sorted. It's changed a bit this season, to be honest. Like I'm definitely unable to catch as much football, so the eye test isn't getting the run out that I'd like it to. And I paid for the subscription to the Fantasy Football Scout lads, so I was going a little bit even deeper, looking into heat maps and underlying stats and expected goals, etc. That did not help me personally in the first half of the season.
Now, can you tell us, again, this isn't an attack on anybody, this is just facts. Why did you feel that it hasn't, or that didn't help you?
Nothing to do with using them stats. I just think like the eye test is so imperative to a good season. Do you know what I mean? Like the time difference is a pain in the butt as it is being in New Zealand, but now with a 2-year-old, I can't get up and watch all the pre-recorded games, like I used to. So I'm catching highlights. Sometimes I'm not even catching the highlights. I'm just listening, like you say, to your guys' streams, people's takes on matches. So I do even sitting this week, Steve. Like I tend to write my team out for future weeks because I find it difficult making transfers and then envisaging my team saying 24, 25, 26. So I basically got a notepad and I can sketch down the team I've got. And then as I make a transfer, I can cross out, say, Willems, and I can put so-and-so in and then see what fixtures he's got coming up to see how my rotation is going to work. So I do spend a bit more time than, say, the average Joe, but it's done us no good. And it was so good to hear James say that, because someone like myself that is putting their heart and soul into it thinks they're making, logical, correct decisions. And it's one of them seasons, man. It has to be, where there's so many of us getting burned week in, week out. Like, just off the top of my head, I brought Pulisic in after he, I think, scored 4 and 5, blanked for 5 games in a row, had to get shot at him. Even going back to Vardy, I had Vardy from game week 1, wildcarded him out the week before he hit that hat-trick and pretty much went on his run. Like, there's some of these things that have happened that, maybe they were the wrong decisions, but the stats weren't, you know what I mean? You can't look at a player that's in form and think his form's going to turn now for no reason whatsoever. So, yeah, it's quite good to hear other people feeling the same with this season.
Oh, absolutely. And just for anybody that's watching this now, Simeon Batchel, I've just caught your comment there. Essentially, I'm not going to lie, it's a bit of a clickbaity title, but the reason why I've put up a clickbaity title, so to speak, is that we're discussing people like myself, Statman on air now, Dan, James, and I'll be bringing on someone else in a second, about the fact that basically we're just playing this game for quote-unquote fun, and the fact that we've basically got nothing to play for regarding the Cash Mini League, certainly in mine, Dan and Statman's case. And for people like me, I'm just thinking, well, I don't want to sabotage my team per se, but -8s, wildcarding, doing slightly differential captains is something that I'm just constantly considering. And Statman did make the point that he does, or he used to watch a lot of football. Well, talking of people that watch a lot of football, Paulie, are you there?
Good evening.
Ian, Paulie, how are you doing this particular season?
I was doing okay until last game week. I dropped about 100,000 to just 600k.
So you're at 600k at the moment, and you're somebody like Dan actually that watches a lot of football. So how much do you put into watching players from an eye test point of view and actually helping you choose your team?
I watch a lot more games than I do actually spend on FPL. I feel as though the more research I do, the worse my team ends up. So I just get something in my head, make the transfers, and then I just keep it.
Okay. Dan, you're somebody that actually watches a lot of football. Again, how much do you put into the eye test?
Yeah, a lot. Like I say, I mean, Hudson-Odoi, the transfer that I've just done now, was based on the eye test, and to have a bit of fun with the game, really. But I know some people, like, they go into all the stats and all these other, go into real detail about expected goals and everything. But I don't know, the purist in me just thinks you can't beat the eye test. You see it, like with Mahrez, for example, like, you see how involved he is and what he's producing. And it just, yeah, I personally just, and look, I enjoy watching football anyway. I don't really enjoy reading like loads of, unless it's in an article, looking at loads of tables of stats. Although I do quite, enjoy hearing people compare stats and bring them out if it's like in a stream or a podcast. But just, yeah, ultimately most of us here are football fans, and we just enjoy watching football, really.
Yeah, I mean, Simeon Batcher has made a point that if you don't care, then why not just do these -8 wildcard, etc., etc. The difference is that I actually have another Cash Mini League that we do, the Torbay Elite. There's a name from the past, and Dan, you're part of it, and there is actually, for even me and you, really, there is something slightly to pay for, isn't there? Play for.
Yeah, I mean, that, like, obviously there's the the monthly awards for Manager of the Month, the highest game week score of the season, maybe an outside chance of making the top 4, just about. But I'm a bit pessimistic about it. It would really take, sort of deploying those chips in the right manner over the double game weeks coming up. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of like, I'm just hoping that I can, I don't know, finish a respectable position by the end of the season. Put it that way. That's my mindset at the moment. Too scarred from the season so far.
Yeah, Paulie, are you somebody that's wanting to take risks like infamously like Jason does by taking minus 12, 16, 8, whatever you want to call it, or have you always been a player which is just like, no, I'm just going to play it safe and go with logical moves?
I think the most I've ever done is actually a -4. I don't think I've ever done more than that, because I always think the more I do, the more points I've then got to make up on other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this week I've got the team up on screen at the moment, but you're going with Vardy captain. Are you confident in that? Leicester are looking they're not looking great, albeit they're playing Burnley, a bunch of clowns. But you're confident with the Vardy captaincy, or is this just more of a safety captaincy pick?
I think it's 90% nailed on that I will be going Jamie Vardy.
And tell us
I don't think there's that. I just think it's Jamie Vardy, isn't it? You can have one bad week, and then next week, if you don't captain, you'll probably end up regretting it. So I just can't see myself taking the captaincy off. Does it,
James? Does it frustrate you when people like Jason, for example? I suppose this is kind of a way in which to play the game, really. But he's taken out ex players and he's just brought in Sterling and he's just going to captain them. Does it frustrate you? Not specifically just Jason, but various other people. I mean, Charlie, somebody, Showman the Marnie, somebody else, and it just seems to pay off. Or do you envy them and just think, no, fair play?
Not at all. It's actually, I respect them for their ballsy
Absolutely,
moves,
yeah.
and I actually think it's tremendous that they're willing to take a risk, and some people reap the rewards for it. So, I like the way he plays. But I had one more thing I wanted to vent about as well, is that I plan ahead really well looking at fixtures and targeting soft fixtures. And over this December period, I kid you not, I've had the new manager bounce thing happen to me around 3-4 different times, where what was supposed to be an easy fixture suddenly became a hard fixture because the team started playing well. So even planning ahead sometimes doesn't work out because you can't forecast a manager getting sacked and the team's, suddenly becoming amazing like Southampton and Watford. So that's happened to me a few times as well. And the worst part is, initially when I started FPL early in the season, I only watched you guys. Depended on your streams to get the details of what's going on. I decided, you know what, this isn't working very well. I need to do the eye testing. So I get the blooming package for like 300 quid or whatever it is. And I watch 6 games a week now, and it hasn't made a difference.
Sorry, what's that £300 for? Sorry?
The Premier League package for the season.
And you get to see that gives you every single game?
Yeah, it gives me every single game, so I figured that would help me climb up the ranks. But it's helped to see who's doing well. But like Statman says, it doesn't give you who's going to suddenly drop in form, right? They can look amazing for the 2 weeks, 3 weeks that you've seen them. You bring him in, and then they suddenly drop off a cliff. So that's what seems to have been happening since I've been doing the eye test.
Statman, you get all your football for free, is that right?
Nah, we've got to pay a subscription on the internet, and we get not even all the games. I didn't even realise until the last few weeks that it's only a select few. But now we pay for an online subscription. There's nothing on Sky or anything here for Premier League, so bit of a pain.
Wow, I mean, obviously you pay for it because you're a football fan and everything, but sometimes when you're paying this amount of money and you play a game, well, specifically this game, do you feel like what am I wasting my money for? Or do you think, you know what, I'm going to sack off FPL and just start enjoying my football again?
Nah, because I was never a football fan, really. I was a Newcastle fan. You know, I wasn't an England fan. I wasn't a Champions League fan. I wasn't, you know what I mean? I was a Newcastle and Newcastle only fan. And then, and now, to be honest, I'm more an FPL fan. And then Newcastle are second. And then everything else I'm not really tuned about. So I literally only watch the highlights from the FPL team. You know, that's how shallow I am when it comes to the football. But nah, it's how we're brought up, and it like we'll always watch football. I couldn't go without seeing highlights and catching the big games and that. It's just even though there's nobody in my vicinity on a daily, weekly basis to talk football about, that's why this is such a good thing, you know, to have a yarn and have a chat about football, because you know there's no one actually that I work with or spend time with that watches football. So nah, it's just part of the makeup of us, I suppose, mate.
It's very rare that I get a chance to speak with yourself now, but a quick plug really, or just in general, I suppose you and James can actually, and even Paulie, I know you're active on the Discord Hangout section and everything. Do you want to tell us as to why you essentially just keep coming back to that Hangout section? Statman?
Oh, sorry, was that in particularly me? Yeah, it's
you James or Paulie, but yeah.
Yeah, it's good, man. It can be depending on who you get when you jump in the Hangouts. You know, if you're lucky enough to get a Phil or Wiz in there, or Chris Packett, aka Blackburn Rovers fan, or you know, there's some real characters. And like you say, it's literally it's social. It's as social as online. You know, I'm not a big geek into you know what I mean, in this type of stuff, like chatting around with people and stuff. But as the seasons progress, you literally feel like you know these guys as well as you know the people that you work with. You know what I mean? For me, that is. I can jump into the Hangouts and the usual faces being. It's just like that to some of the boys back home. So, nah, it's mint. I'd advise everyone to just, you know, if you're a bit nervous or whatever, just don't be. Just get in there, mute the microphone, listen to the banter from the boys, and then jump in when you want. It's good.
And your thoughts on that, Paulie? You're somebody that's relatively active in the Hangouts and everything, and then coming onto the show and stuff. Your thoughts on how maybe the Hangouts have actually helped you maybe be your decision making, or even from a negative perspective. And I wouldn't like to think that anybody's trying to put you off certain players, but yeah, maybe how it's affected your team selections from a negative point of view.
Well, on a whole, I like it because my friends that live around me in my area, they play FPL, but they're not really that into it. So they'll make a transfer and that's it. Whereas you can go into Hangout and you can talk to people who do research, they know a lot of background about players, they know about the game, they can give you positives, negatives, and they can help you make decisions as well as talk you out of actually making a decision. But I don't think anyone's actually done that to me yet. But
from that point of view, James, has that ever happened to you on the Hangout section?
Yes.
Go for it.
So I absolutely love the Hangouts, especially during match days when there isn't a stream available. There's almost like an impromptu stream going on in the Hangouts. You know, people like, you know, the regulars, Vince, Wiz, everyone covering different games, kind of updating each other. And so that can be really social and fun, especially when you know, I've got a lot of friends, but none of them are into football. So it's like having your own mates, you know, right there in the Hangouts, and it's a lot of fun, especially live on game day.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dan, you're like I said, you're somebody that watches all the games live and everything. And before you come on air, you are normally caught out like you are today, speaking to people like Statman, for example. And how much do you find the Hangout section just adds to your enjoyment of, well, essentially the game of football?
Yeah, no, it is good. I mean, like the guys have just said, really, you get to know the characters in there. I mean, I'm not in there especially that often. But no, it kind of does add to it, and you know, everyone knows their own team really well, and you know, obviously people support different teams, and like, I'm sure Statman knows Newcastle really well, and he'll be able to tell you about a player that I don't know as much about as he does, and you know, you got that like kind of like wisdom of the crowd, so to speak. And yeah, just, you know, obviously it's more. This is the thing with Elite FPL. What you and Jason do, it's like it's more immersive and it's more social, and essentially like it's like a fan channel for FPL. Like, people can have their say and they're part of the show, and it does bring people together in that sense. So yeah, it's a really, you know, I know a lot of people say bad thing. You know, we talk about it a lot personally, but the negative side of online communication. But in this sense, it's really bringing people together from like across the world that love FPL, and yeah, it's just awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say that if anybody wants to come live on air with the four of us, then by all means, it is pretty much an open conversation. Essentially, we're just talking about how the frustrations of this season and everything. I mean, we've been speaking about just trying to turn this game into being a bit of fun and stuff. I mean, Paulie, have you thought about doing some form of Maverick transfers to just kind of have a bit of fun with the game, or do you just literally play the game from a safety point of view?
I always consider doing a load of transfers just to make the team better, but then I always go against my word and I don't do it. 1 or 2 transfers is the most.
And why is that?
Because I just feel as though I've always got into the back of my head that it's going to backfire on me. Always. No matter how good the team looks, I just always think negative about it, so I just keep it as it is.
But why do you have that mindset? What do you think could change that specific mindset to just think like a bit like what's his face, Dan, Statman, James, where it's just like, do you know what? Let's just bring in this player just for the sake of. I mean, Dan's already done his live transfer tonight by bringing in Hudson-Odoi for Traore, just for the hell of it. You're not kind of persuaded by that?
I think it'll take me to do it once. So if I make 5 transfers, for example, and then if that all goes well, I might be tempted to do it a bit more. It's just having that knack to click the confirm transfers button that I've not really got. It's same with online shopping. You've got it all in your checkout and you don't click pay.
It's a good analogy. I mean, Statman, you're laughing there. I'm assuming you just agree with this.
Yeah, and I'm pretty cautious as well, and I've only ever done a -12 once, and it did backfire. I remember bringing in Anderson of West Ham when West Ham were in the early kickoff. I can't remember who was against last season, to captain him, and it failed. He blanked. Whoever I would have captained hold, and the -12 really cost us. So that I've only ever done it once, and it backfired. So I'm very cautious not to go near anything more than a -4, so I can definitely relate there for sure.
One Rovers, well, Charlie is making the point here that just be confident and do it, have faith in it, and he can pay off. And obviously, Charlie's someone that's been doing this the majority of the season by just bringing in player after player for the easy fixtures. Do you ever think about doing it, James?
I've done it. It doesn't work when I try it.
But does the fact that it doesn't work, does
like
that just make you...
for example, right? He played Norwich. I captained him, thought it was a great move, brought him in for the week as a punt, blanked. And then he goes on to score, I think, 4 out of the next 5. He's been on red-hot form ever since that blank. I just don't know why I feel cursed this season where, I play that target, you target that team, you bring in the striker from the other team that's playing the soft team, and it's just the 1 week they happen to blank. So that's been one of my big frustrations as well. Like, I can't seem to catch a break on that. And I see other people using the same tactic, and it just works out for them.
Yeah, Dan, I mean, you obviously you chuckled at James's point there, but maybe James is kind of maybe giving us all the thought process of, what, maybe we should all be patient with a player, or do you think... No, I think James may be onto something here. If they're really not looking for if they not look like they're on form, get them gone.
Yeah, no, I just chuckle because it's Richarlison, and like me and him have got history, and I can just relate to it, like because you see him having some brilliant game weeks, and then you sort of rub your hands with glee, get him in, and then he does nothing. He's a proper troll, Richarlison, and he's a bit of a hothead as well. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but yeah, it is that case where like patience with players this season. I've been a lot less patient with players, just being like, like Lucas Moura, Tielemans, players like that. Just get out of my team and don't come back. I just get sick of this bloody rubbish, and that's when you start to take the hits, and it doesn't always pay off, unfortunately.
Anish is making a point that he is going to be going with triple Liverpool defence for the double game week. I did hear him last night on with Jason. Is that Maverick enough? I mean, straight away I'll ask you, Paulie. I mean, a lot of people are going with obviously triple Liverpool. The main combination is either the two mids along with a defender, two defenders along with one of Mane or Salah. But the statistics and everything is suggesting that go with Firmino. Have you thought about potentially bringing in Firmino, or is it just nope, just stick with the safety in the combinations that I've just mentioned?
Well, one of my transfers this week was actually Martial out and Mo Salah in. I had Jimenez in, so I could have easily gone Jimenez to Firmino, but I went for Salah, and then I put Danny Ings in up front.
Okay, so you went to go with Firmino, but instead you didn't do that. Once again, what's made you stop that? Is it just purely the sheep mentality?
I think it's just the name Mo Salah, basically, because you know that he can get goals from anywhere, assists from anywhere, and Firmino has been hit and miss quite a lot this season, hasn't he? But when he does get points, he gets them in.
Despite the fact that all his points seem to come away from home and his two fixtures are going to be away from home, you still think that no, Firmino, I'm kind of just back off?
Yeah, that was partly it, but my selection was actually for the Man United game this weekend. And then I thought, right, if I get 3 Liverpool players in this weekend, I'll just keep them for the double game week as well.
When you say regarding bring them in for the Manchester United fixture, is that because you think that Liverpool are going to easily win the game, or is it for another reason?
Well, I'm a Man United fan, and I do actually think that Liverpool will get 3 goals against us. And if they have got 3 goals, chances are Mane and Salah are going to be involved in them. So that's why I went them too. I've actually got Gomez in defence, which I'm kind of worried about now with the news that Matip might be back soon. And I can't afford Alexander-Arnold or Richard Robertson.
I'll ask you one quick question then. So you've just mentioned the fact that you think that Liverpool will score 3 goals against United, yet you've gone and captain Vardy. Just a simple quick question again. Why then not go with Salah and Mane if you're confident that they're going to score? Because they would be major differentials.
Yeah, that's the thing that I'm on about with the transfers as well. Because I know for a fact if I go Salah or Mane captain, I'd either pick the wrong one or Liverpool will not do anything, which is why I'm just sticking with Vardy.
For the safety, yeah. I asked this question to a few people, Kev, regarding predictions and everything. Obviously, you were on the stream with Jason last night doing your predictions. How much do you rely on your own predictions when it comes to choosing which captain you go with or player selection? Does it not cross your mind whatsoever?
Well, I think you're only ever normally going to have 1 or 2 captaincy options, and you're probably not going to waver that much in them games. So say you're looking at Salah captain this week, you're probably thinking they're going to win 2-3-0 if you're thinking of captain him. If you're looking at Vardy, you're probably in that regards I don't think the predictions change too much. But just on the predictions as a whole, I can't even remember the predictions I gave Jason. Them were just spur the moment. I'll be interested to see how them come out, because then I sit down on the Elite FPL website. I take a little bit more time on them ones because I'm looking at them, and I'm thinking, right. And so I picked them a bit more carefully, and then I put my bets on. So in all fairness, these three lots of predictions could be three totally different sets of results. So I'm glad I did the predictions live on the cast to see if me just thinking off the top of my head, on the spot works out better than when I sit and, ponder. Oh, well, that could happen. So, but in regards to the captaincy, no, I think you're only looking at two players normally, and you're normally dead set on how them results are going to go either way.
So go full circle with this conversation, because I only wanted to come here for about an hour or so, and we've been going on for that long now. But how kind of close are you to possibly hitting this wild card in the very, very near future? Do you have a particular game week that you're thinking that you could be doing, or could you be doing it straight after the stream?
Definitely I'll be playing with it after the stream. It's just the thought of, because I'm so cautious this season. The thought of having it,
but that's the
in
point.
the back of my mind. I'm thinking, but it's going to be beneficial to have it, say, approaching a double game week. Like, I think if I can just hold off, maybe take a -8. Like, there's a move there for a -8 I'm really happy with. And then I've got the wild card, say, going into the big double game week, so you can make that dream team, and then you can keep free hit for a blank week or the big triple game week or something. I just think it seems like there's going to be a bit more congestion at the end of the season, where I've never held the wild card lately, but I use it in game week 3 in the first half of the season. I'm normally quite an early wild carder, so this is me trying to do something different to what I normally do, holding it quite late.
So how would you answer then Simeon Batchelor's point about the fact that if you don't care, or if you've got nothing to play for, just do it, just hit the wild card and just kind of essentially have fun with it? How would you answer that?
But well, I have like I'm never going to say I don't care, because I do, because the overall rank that's going to be etched on your history forever. So like, even I'm sitting at about a mil now, or whatever mil.
Before you continue, just like Dan,
yeah,
you're now probably then kind of looking at it from an overall rank perspective then.
And side bets, I've got some big side bets. So I'm chasing a lad in my mini league that's 99 points ahead of me, and he's normally rubbish, Steve-O. Like, he's normally rubbish. I'm gonna give him a shout out, Stuart Hall. We'll call him Moisey because he normally messes everything up in David Moyes fashion. But he somehow managed to hit everything. And you know what it is? He captained Aguero last week. So I feel your pain with Jason. It's very similar what I'm going through with this mate to how you probably feel with Jason bringing Aguero in last week and captain. So I've got interest in side bets, and also like I want my overall rank not to be as embarrassing as a million. Do you know what I mean? Like, even if you're half a mil, 400, 300k, if you can fight up to there, it's not as bad as finishing outside the million.
Talking of the Aguero captaincy by Jason and feeling my pain, I think the biggest frustration from my point of view is that, for instance, like I said last night when Jason was saying about Aguero and keeping patience and everything like this, but he did make a point that, he did actually say it on stream that he's going to get rid of Aguero and Sterling. I remember that's pretty much a quote. He said, I'm going to get rid of Aguero and Sterling. But then it came to the preview show, and he did actually say, nah, I'm going to stick with my team. And it's the fact that, knowing Jason's history and everything, that actually he'll probably, when it comes to Saturday, when he goes live on air, he'll probably reveal that he did get rid of Aguero and Sterling and brought in whoever. And obviously I had no knowledge of what had happened. And then all my thought processes, I wonder if he did get rid of Aguero in the end. And knowing his luck, or knowing his bad luck this season, he probably did. And then, of course, the second that, you see that he has got Aguero captain, it's like, you know what, fair play, with the added expletives in it and everything. But I'll ask you this straight away, Kev. I asked him, Charlie, this the other day, and he said they're absolutely fantastic. For somebody that's living in New Zealand, what are your thoughts on these match of the day challenges that predominantly myself does and Jason did the other week? How do you actually play along with it? Do you know the results?
I can't do that. Well, I could do it, but the highlights aren't available to me until like it's even more delayed. So I'd be getting up on a Sunday morning. I'd have to avoid looking at everything, and then I'd have to just get the miss to keep checking the subscription to see when the highlight show drops. So it's a bit more of a pain. It's not a set time like you guys, but last week was hilarious, man. That was just the funniest stream you've done. I was just cracking up the whole time, and I'm watching it back late, obviously with a few of the Aussie boys at the same time, and we're chatting about, oh, where are you up to? Where are you up to? So as a viewer's perspective, it was hilarious, but I quite enjoyed getting up and watching your Saturday the stream for the games, because I don't
FPL
watch the
Live.
highlights, and I just start listening to that back. So I'm reacting to yous reacting on the morning I get up where the results have just finished. So to me that was brilliant. Like I'd go to work on a Sunday sometimes, download it, flick them on my headphones, and I'm listening to yous listening the results. That was amazing for me. I told you I've got these subscription that I pay for, and I'm listening to yous for the results rather than watching them first. So, but either way, Steve, it's all good content. It's all great content.
Yeah, James, you're actually one of our correspondents for the 3 p.m. kickoffs. The Statman there is just saying how much he enjoys listening in and everything. You must feel quite proud of the fact that, despite the fact that let's be honest, your fantasy football season's doing rubbish, the fact that you can participate in FPL Live at 3 p.m. or whatever time of the day it is the matches are on, and you can correspond that particular game.
Yeah, that's been a lot of fun. It's one of the good things about getting the package. It may not have helped my FPL game, but it's allowed me to contribute to the live streams, which I thoroughly enjoy.
And Paul Lee, you're somebody that as well that has contributed to that. In fact, you contribute quite a lot, don't you, with your updates throughout the 3 p.m. kickoffs?
Yeah, I get Sky Sports and BT, and I've also got a package that I can watch in England from America, which is ESPN, and it gets basically all the 3 o'clock kickoffs and then the evening games on as well. So I've got the choice of watching multiple.
Yeah, Peter S is actually just joining us just now, and he just said, I'm in the US and Match of the Day challenges are great. Last week's was brilliant.
And Steve-O, did you know there was a reaction to your Match of the Day challenge in the Hangouts? People were reacting to your reaction.
For a split second, I thought you were going to say that there was a video reaction to. No, tell us about it, James. Tell us now.
I wish I could have joined it, because I only had one mobile device, so I could only watch your stream. But if I had 2 available, I definitely would have participated in the reaction of your reaction, because apparently they had a great time in there watching it as a group.
And you said you were part of that, Paulie?
Yeah, I was in it.
So what?
I don't think I've ever laughed as much in my life.
This is quite an interesting kind of almost like a, I don't know, like a kind of view and insight into almost like, when they say about looking at your funeral or whatever, this almost seems like an insight into telling me what it's like watching me. Before we go on to that, Paulie, Dan, your experience of watching the Match of the Day challenges and knowing the fact you know the results, does it just make it just more entertaining for you rather than actually doing the Match of the Day challenge itself?
Oh, it's brilliant, Steve-O. Yeah, like I said, some of those moments from obviously the Match of the Day challenge that you did, particularly the West Ham moment when you thought they'd scored. The Danny Ings tattoo moment was probably the bit where I just laughed in my head off. I need to spat my food out at that moment when you were you were kind of annoyed, but then you were like, oh, there's some nice work there. And also Brandon Williams, because I think that was one of the earlier games, and obviously he got the penalty, won the penalty, and then later on he missed that open goal from 3 yards out, and you were just like, oh god, and it's just what's coming, because I could remember Match of the Day and the order of things, and it's just that build up as well for when you're thinking, God, he's got to watch Match of the Day too yet, and your reaction, like the end of the West Ham Sheffield United game, like I knew, God, he's mad
Skipping
now.
past the VAR
wait.
was classic.
Yeah, he's mad now. Wait till he sees what happens on the Sunday, like, you know, and it's just great entertainment, and I don't think any other FPL channel can match it for that.
And Paulie, so you were saying, so what actually? It sounds so weird what I'm about to say. So what exactly is going on when there's several of you chatting during the Match of the Day challenge? It's just a case of, like Dan's just said, blimey, you think he's mad now or whatever. Wait until he sees X.
Yeah, so before it actually started, we were just talking about all the incidents that you're probably going to have a reaction to. It were like 4 or 5 different ones. There was obviously Aguero's hat-trick. There were Brandon Williams missing that chance. Danny Ings hitting the bar post like 4 times. And then it made it even better when you just fast forwarded to next game after Snodgrass had scored, and then we were just all watching screen and we were saying, has he actually just skipped it? He don't know what's happening. Let's wait. So we're actually talking to the screen, telling you to rewind it back and watch what happened.
In fact, Dan, you actually made that point the other day, didn't you? That you wanted to scream at the TV and say, "Go back, Steve-O."
Yeah, it was just like when you were looking at your team, you're like, hold on a minute, Henderson, Lundstrom, like you were just so perplexed by it. That the Henderson moment, that was brilliant for me because it was just like, it's just so real. And like, obviously you got a lot of people that are like, oh no, how can you do this? How can you avoid the internet? How can you avoid the football? I mean, it's bloody difficult to do. I mean, I try to avoid the scores because I like to watch match day without knowing the scores, as you know, because it makes it more entertaining. It is difficult to do. So, I mean, fair play for you to do, doing it. I'd imagine you'd be doing it again at some point.
Basically, the simple answer is for the next few weeks, no. But what in fact, that kind of links me into what's happening on Saturday. I could be doing a kind of a mini 3 p.m. match of the day challenge, so to speak. So I don't know what Jason's doing. I know he mentioned last night in the stream that he doesn't know if he's able to do Saturday, but definitely I'm going to be doing live streaming across the weekend. And basically, when I come live on air, I'm deliberately not going to know the results. So it is going to be interesting from my perspective, whether Jason's streaming or not, what's going to have happened, especially in the Man City game. Kev, I'll ask you immediately. I know you were quite surprised by the fact that Jason did do his Aguero out, Ings in, and then Kevin De Bruyne in, and he's captain Sterling. Do you think that that's going to pay off basically on Saturday or not?
Oh, it all depends on the City lineup, doesn't it? I know people that didn't hear, he took Aguero out prior to his hat trick, so what a feeling he must have had watching them go in, knowing that he's already transferred him out.
Yes, of course, yeah.
There's conflicting. People are saying he has to start because he's hit the hat trick, he's in form. Others are saying, nah, he'll be rested. And, let's see the lineup. If he starts, you've got to think he's going to be in the goals again. If you took him out as part of a hit for who did you bring in, KDB? KDB could do the business, but he could also play deeper. We're not sure. I've got KDB. He's not going anywhere. But my hit this week is to get Sterling in for the armband as well, Steve-O. So I've got to side with him a bit there. And I know Charlie's doing the same, Captain Sterling. So I think that it's the week where we could do what the Aguero captainers did last week, especially if you're bringing him in for a hit and you're going to armband him. So hopefully.
Nice comment there, Anorak. I don't know why the comments have stopped scrolling up on screen again. I'm not a tech guy, so I'm sure Jason's screaming at why it's not working. But anyway, he's made the point, Steve-O, do the double game week 24 challenge. See if you can last that. That would be impossible for me to do that. They're quite literally impossible. And Juggernauts is here. Even Juggernauts, welcome. Just saying to Salt and Cider, should I be worried about my top spot? He feels he might be seeing a red arrow this week. Very unlikely having an absolute store. I think you're like 30 points clear of Salt and Sade. I can't specifically remember. But James, what chips have you got left to play with?
Still got the bench boost and triple captain, which I'm going to be using on game week 24, the double game week.
That's the triple captaincy, is it?
Yes, and saving the bench boost, I believe it's for game week 37, where there's a lot of doubles there.
Are you?
And I'll wildcard the week before that as well to set up a team with a strong bench.
Well, are you not planning on maybe using your triple captaincy on a bit of a differential player for Liverpool, or is it just a case of no, I'm sticking it on Mane/Salah?
Well, I've got Salah, so I'm sticking it on Mane, and just hoping to get maximum points from the 3 Liverpool players with Trent.
Yeah, absolutely. Paulie, what about you? What chips have you got left to play?
I've got all the chips still left. I've only used the first wild card at the minute.
Have you? So you're in the exact same boat as me. Has there any strategy that you're personally playing with, or is it just a case of just hit and hope?
Well, like James said, I always use the bench boost towards the end of the season. And I always keep my wild card until after the transfer deadline, and I try and just keep that as long as I can up until the fixtures get a bit more, like more double game weeks at the end of the season. And triple captain, I just use on either a good fixture, but I try and get a double game week. But last year I used it on De Bruyne in a double game week for Man City. He didn't play the first game, and then he came on for 20 minutes in the second game, so that didn't work out at all.
Jesus. Yeah, absolutely heart crushing. Paulie, just one final question. Well, more of a prediction. Just to finally recap, you're a Man United fan. You just give us your thoughts on Liverpool United this weekend.
I do think Liverpool will win. Not having Rashford in the team potentially, that's a big difference. Martial will probably play up front, so Martial owners still have the chance of him actually getting a return. It's just who's going to get the ball to him. I said 3-0 Liverpool. I'm going to stick 3-0 Liverpool.
And you're sticking definitely with the Vardy captain?
You're trying to talk me out of it, aren't you?
I don't know. I think Dan, Charlie made the point the other day, but just Leicester don't seem at it at the moment, and I don't know. I just think we'll win.
Yeah, I mean, you Burnley fans are normally quite pessimistic, so I was quite surprised by this optimism you've got about beating Leicester when they're like in the top 4. But I know what you mean, because they did, they drew at home to Norwich, and then they kind of, like I said, ever since they lost 4-0 to Liverpool at home, it was
also the Aston Villa game as well.
Yes. Oh, what in the League Cup?
Yeah,
Cup. Yeah, whatever they call it, the Milky Bar Kid Cup or whatever it's called now. But yeah, that as well. I mean, like, they do seem to be struggling a bit, and my mind has been elsewhere the last 10 minutes. I just keep thinking to myself, do I take out Soyuncu, Calvert-Lewin, bring in Maitland-Niles and bring in Danny Ings? But I was just thinking, no, don't do that.
Right,
do it.
So, go for it, Sam, go on.
No, I was just looking at Maitland-Niles himself, so but I haven't heard many others talk about him, so that doesn't sound like a bad move, Dan, to be honest, does it? Ings in?
Yeah, I've been, like I said, I've been really stubborn about Ings, and like the fixtures for Southampton as well, moving forward, are good, and he's having the season of his life. So yeah, it's just kind of like, I could see Burnley scoring against Leicester, to be honest with you. Like, I don't think it'll be an easy win for Leicester. If they do win, it could be like 2-1, or it'd be quite a sort of scrappy game. I don't think it's going to be easy at all. So maybe there is something, maybe if Burnley sit deep and, sort of Vardy's not able to get involved so much, then they could frustrate them. I don't know, but it's just,
so yeah. Going on this whole conversation we're having about, again, I don't want to keep bringing up Simeon Batcher, but it just makes the point where it's like, well, just do it then if you've got nothing to play for, or whatever. What's stopping you then from doing this -8?
Just the fear of failure, isn't it? I mean, like, it's that logical brain. It's like, hold on a minute. Burnley, no offence, but they've been crap recently. Leicester in the top 4. Leicester needs to, like... You can look at it so many different ways, Steve. Like, Calvert-Lewin away to West Ham. West Ham have got Randolph in goal, and they, like, kind of, you know, not in the best form at the moment, shall we say. So, Calvert-Lewin, you know, it could... I don't know. It could work out so many ways. So, it's all very well saying, oh, why not just do it? But then, like, you could, you know, take a -8 and miss out on points as well. So, do you know what? Actually, I'm just going to do it.
Yes, Dan. Yes.
It's just like...
I mean, Paulie, you know, you never take hits. The most you've ever taken is a -4. Dan's just revealed the fact that he's doing the -8. What are your immediate thoughts on that?
Peer pressure.
And on that note, Paulie, thank you for joining us, mate.
Hey, welcome. Have a good weekend, guys.
You too. Cheers, dude. Sure, we'll hear from you this weekend. James, we'll get your quick reaction to Dan taking a -8 now.
This is fantastic. Keep taking them hits so I can catch up.
But that's the thing, though, James, isn't it? Is that if this pays off, then actually Dan's going to be enjoying this weekend even more.
Absolutely, but I can enjoy it until the games start.
James, I'm assuming you'll be with us over the weekend, maybe with me covering the Liverpool Man United game.
I'll be watching that as well. I'll probably be watching the early Tottenham game, the mid-afternoon game, and the late game.
Fantastic! Really appreciate you coming on tonight, and we'll see you over the weekend.
Thank you.
Cheers, dude.
Take care.
Yeah,
see you, man.
Bye.
Cheers.
There's James Bang there. Statman, Dan's just taken his -8. You hit the wild card button.
Yeah. Nah, but I've just lined my -8 up here on the transfer page, you know, and I just want to run my 3 options past you, Steve, quickly, and just get you instant without thinking. Right, option 1, Rashford to Calvert-Lewin, Zaha to Sterling, and I get to keep Maddison. Option 2, Rashford to Ings, then I lose Maddison and move him up to Sterling, but it means I've got to play Traore or Willems. Or option 3 is the -8 I've got now, and it's Traore to Hayden, Rashford to Ings, and Zaha to Sterling.
Blimey. Remind me, who've Crystal Palace got this weekend? I keep forgetting they are...
Man City.
Yeah, sorry.
I want rid of Zaha. It feels really nice to see Zaha on his bike and to get Sterling for him, but I can't afford to bring Ings in for an injured Rashford unless I then take a further -4 and I downgrade Traore, who, like Dan, I'm sick of him, down to a bench fodder, Hayden. So would you prioritise bringing Ings in as part of a bigger hit, a -8, or do you think Calvert-Lewin can do the business and I can?
Well, Calvert-Lewin's away at West Ham, isn't he? And
yeah, followed by a home game against us. You know, and an away fixture, Watford, a home fixture to Palace. So his next 4 pretty good home and away to me.
I think stick with the Calvert-Lewin option and, like you say, find some way of bringing in Sterling without you losing Calvert-Lewin. But I'm assuming that is just quite literally then get rid of Rashford and Maddison. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, it's even. There's a little bit of his thinking. Am I being stubborn trying to keep a hold of Maddison? Like, you know, for the next 2, Burnley away, West Ham at home.
Do you want to know why I'm keeping Maddison? Because the last time he played against Burnley, he got, I believe, a 10. Oh no, he didn't play. Oh no, he did play 72 minutes. What was I thinking of? It must have been Vardy then. Sorry. I unless I'm going completely mad here, I could swear that Maddison's away record is better than his home record. I'm pretty sure of that.
He's done well away. He's done well away more recently. He got a 9-pointer against Villa.
11-pointer
He's got
against
11 points
yeah.
in Newcastle and Sheffield. He got an assist away. So he's hitty missy though. Like Dan says, he's a bit of a troll. So do you think I'm prioritising keeping him is the wrong thing? Because I could do a -4 and I can go Rashford to Ings, Maddison to Sterling. There you go. I've got Ings in finally, and I get Sterling for Maddison.
I think Rashford out. Again, I'm not a tipster or anything. Just based on everything you've just said, and you're going to be captaining Sterling, aren't you?
Yeah. That's the goal.
This is probably going to backfire, but I think get Rashford gone for Ings, Maddison out for Sterling. That's a minus.
Okay.
God, we can be here all night. That's a -4. But what's the Zaha one?
There's a -8, which is Traore to Hayden, so that's just to free up funds. There's me 5th mid, Rashford to Ings, and then Zaha to Sterling. So I get rid of Zaha, and I get to keep Maddison.
Yeah, I think that's the better option actually. Even though it's a -8, I think that's the better option because you get to keep Maddison, and you go then to a 3-4-3 formation, where you definitely would be playing Mopé along with Ings and Vardy. I personally think that. Dan,
what do you reckon?
Oh, I think you're a bad influence on me, mate. It makes it a -8. Do you know what? Having said that, that does sound pretty good. I mean, you seem pretty dead set on Sterling for tomorrow's game against Palace, didn't you, Kevin? You were saying that before we came live on air that you seem quite confident that he's going to do something. I mean, what makes you think Sterling's going to do something against Palace tomorrow, though?
It's just his record. Like I was listening to Steve-O's prediction stream where he had the history, but I think I missed the City bit. But just from my own digging, I'm sure is he got a good goal scoring record against Palace, Steve-O?
Yeah, so basically it is where is it here? Sterling 5 starts, 1 sub appearance, 5 goals, 1 assist. And the last time he played, the last 2 times he's played Crystal Palace, he got 2 goals in 1 game and then an assist this year.
Yeah, and he's been rested. You know, he's as close to due to start as any City player, can't he? Like playing 1 minute over the last 2 games. Like I just think he's coming in. City are on form. Aguero's going to start up top. You know, they've got a bit of momentum and confidence. You know, I just think he's my little enabler to make up a little bit of ground because all the Aguero captainers probably aren't going to have Sterling, or they can't afford to have them both with the Liverpool double coming up. So I think it's just my opportunity to make up a bit of ground. So I'm definitely need to get Sterling in. It's just to what extent do I butcher my team? Or do I wildcard and make like how many transfers did you make, Dan, in your wildcard? It'll be interesting to find out. Do you know how many?
I think it was 20. So let's have a. Do you know what? I've made so many now that I'm just trying to remember back to my wild. How ridiculous is that? I think it was about 5 or 6 off the top of my head.
Right, that's about what I'm looking at, and when I look up what the hit would be, 20 points or something, I'm thinking, is that worth the wild card when you've got people like Jason that are dropping -16s and doing all right? So that's interesting to know that it wasn't a pure butcher, it wasn't a 12-man change. But yes, Steve, I'll definitely be playing with all these options, but I appreciate that input on the 8-pointer. I am favouring that over. I mean, over the other one.
Let's be honest here. Based on the title of this show, based on everything that we've discussed, I think because when I heard you talk about this last night, and when Jason revealed the fact that he's going to be captaining Sterling, I just thought, you know, when you listen to, it's like we go back full circle with everything. It's like, you know, when you listen to someone, it's just like it just makes logical sense. I know this season hasn't been about logic, but I think just go for it. Bring in Sterling, however way you're going to do it. Bring him in and captain him, and just reap the rewards if you get any.
It feels. I gotta say, guys, it feels more exciting doing this. I mean, I might not be saying that. I might not be saying that over like by the Sunday surgery. It might be like the first in the waiting line, but it does kind of like Maitland-Niles and Hudson-Odoi. Obviously, everyone's got Ings, but like I don't know. It's just like a bit more of a risk calculate. I mean, yours sounds like a good calculated gamble with Sterling. I mean, yeah. So we will see what happens, I guess.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Statman, all I can say is good luck and enjoy let's be honest here, enjoy the streams that are going to be coming your way for the next 3 or 4 days.
Cheers, Steve. We'll hopefully catch up with you over the weekend. Cheers for that.
Cheers, mate. And there's Statman there, all the way from New Zealand. So yeah, Dan, done a -8 live on air. Feels exciting. You happy with it?
Yeah. At the moment, I am, mate. Yeah, I might even need another Robinson squash because, like, I don't know whether that went to my head, but yeah, I don't know whether I'd have done it if I didn't come on air, but I don't know. I mean, like, I've done my wildcard now. I've done a -8, but this is probably the riskiest thing I've done this season. So let's see if it pays off. I'd hope that we've got a good chance of keeping a clean sheet at home to Sheffield United. Fingers crossed. And then Danny Ings, like I said, the fixtures going forward are good. Hudson-Odoi is a punt. I know that. And Chelsea's fixtures, I mean, obviously they've got Newcastle away tomorrow. Then us at home. And then it gets tough. I mean, Leicester away, United at home, and Spurs at home. So, it's a bit, But at 5.3, worth a go. As I said, I'm getting frustrated by trial race. So I've got when I look at my team now, I've got some differentials in there. So it does spice things up a little bit in terms of our mini league and trying to play catch up, whilst I've also still got coverage of Ings as well. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Fantastic. And that's it, everybody. Let's see what happens, shall we? Just want to thank Kev, Paulie, James for coming live on air and, let's be honest here, talking about their frustrations with this particular season and, maybe like just going for it, -8 wildcards, going for a differential captain choice like I'm possibly going to be doing with Trent Alexander-Arnold. In fact, I haven't even spoke about that, Dan. Me going with Trent Alexander-Arnold as a captain against United. Your thoughts on that?
You're not doing that, are you?
There's a chance, yes.
I thought you were captain in Salah.
No, I'm actually seriously thinking of going Trent Alexander-Arnold as my captain because there's something about Liverpool and their defence. Well, these are pretty much facts. They're just no one seems to be able to score past them of late. Trent Alexander-Arnold this year, or let's just say over the last few weeks or whatever, at home he's got essentially at home he gets single digit hauls, and then of course barring Brighton where he got a 10-pointer, but yeah, why not, Dan?
I just looked at it. I looked at the facts, as you say, as Rafa Benitez says, the facts, and like the last 6 games in the Premier League, I didn't realise they kept 6 clean sheets even. So, I mean, that is quite incredible, really. And obviously Leicester, game week 19, Boxing Day, 24 points there. Wolves, 8 points. And like you said, Brighton, going back to game week 14, 10-point haul. So, I mean, because earlier on in the season, he was a bit frustrating, but of recent, like, as you say, Liverpool. But they do, that game against Spurs did have some, as you'd expect, they had some, particularly in the second half, had some good chances. But it just, I suppose if Rashford's not going to play, that will be a big blow for them. And it could pay off. That is a proper differential captain, though, this game week.
Well, let's just put it this way. I am probably going to triple captain him in game week 24, and that is what I've been planning on doing for the past 2 weeks. I just thought for a bit, I've never had a triple captain go well for me at all, and I just thought, you know what, I'm probably going to put the triple captaincy on him over the double game week, and I think it's potentially could be the safest option. Yeah, just a quick thought on that. What would you think if I did that?
So the triple captain, a TAA in the double game week.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Wow. I mean, yeah, like based on everything we've just said, it actually seems like a good move. I don't know if I'd have the cojones to do it, as Troy Deeney would say, really, or you'd say. But it could. I suppose you seem to be getting into this mentality now of just taking moves that are gonna, possibly could really shoot you up the ranks, really. So
It's more of a.
I don't know.
It's more.
I mean, I think Mane would be the more logical choice, but the season's not been about logic, has it?
No, and that's the point. And I want to make moves which aren't going to sabotage my team, but what's basically the worst that can happen? Dan, I'm going to wrap it up there, mate.
Cool.
Let's get you to do the admin for the Instagram, as we always do, just quickly. Tell everybody the fact that you are in charge of our Instagram page and you are relatively active on there.
Yes, of course. Obviously, at Elite FPL for the Instagram page, and just basically posting. When you guys go live, obviously posted the last couple of days just to keep up to date with it all. Keep an eye on the Instagram stories. I always put a song with each story that relates to the theme of the game week or just the theme of the show, like obviously the Sunday surgery. I think I had the casualty theme, the Oxide and Neutrino song. I think I had that on the first time you guys did that. So just a little bit of fun there. If you can guess the theme or the link, then always message through. And just another place to connect with Elite FPL.
I don't want to keep going on, but Ryan Seashan, a very valued member of our Elite FPL community. I know he's been with us for in the early days, basically, and I feel for him. Do you remember that time, Dan, when I kind of wasn't particularly, I couldn't care less that Lundstrom was coming off my bench because he had 21 points, but I was making the argument, but majority of the people own Lundstrom anyway, so it wouldn't make a difference. Well, Ryan's in a similar situation. He's 30th in our cash mini league, and he's just basically saying that essentially the 1 week that he's deciding to go with Sterling captain, it's when everybody's bringing, the people in our cash mini league are bringing him in and captaining him, and he's just feeling like, as he's just stating here, that he has a feeling that he's going to haul, and it make no difference to him in the cash mini league because everybody's getting him in.
Yeah, that's just sod's law, isn't it? I think, like I say, one person latches onto an idea and everyone else follows it, and it kind of, you feel like you've got some sort of differential and you're taking a gamble, and then, I suppose you could say that, with people taking part in the hangout and the live chat, we're all rivals, so my move now. I was always, when I used to be on the show last season, I was wary of that because sometimes you want to keep your cards close to your chest because essentially you're revealing your moves to your opponents live on air. And then they can be like, hold on a minute, he's getting Sarin. Oh, it's not a bad choice, is it? I mean, I know this information's available to everybody, but that's when it can kind of backfire.
John Harris, this is really a Steve-O special here. I mean, going on last year when we were doing this to about 6 people, and Vince Chapman, John Harris, FPL Boone, Brett Mollison, Ryan was probably one of them as well. It's like, how does it feel like you're now talking to over 100 people doing this, and like you've just said, you're revealing your moves, whereas last year it'd be like, I don't even want to tell you to.
Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, obviously, I guess there's less pressure now. I'm not on the stream, so to speak, but it's one of those things where you just think at this point in the season, to hell with it, in a sense. So I think whereas last season, because it was new territory, you're kind of a bit more guarded and you're just a bit people might be watching that are in the same league. And now it's to the point where you know what, here's my move, Danny Ings, Hudson-Odoi, Maitland-Niles in. Let's see what they do. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely, and definitely on that note, we're going to wrap things up. I'm not going to lie, we've had quite a lot of trolls tonight. Incredible, quite incredible. We've had a load of trolls come in and they've just bombarded the dislike button. Quite incredible, really, but it's it's one of those, I'm afraid. And by the way, just in response to Ryan, what makes me feel even more gutted is that I had Sterling since the start of the season, captained so many times. Now I have that feeling all every. Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much what we've been talking about all evening, Ryan. If you are a Discord member, by all means, well, I know you are a Discord member, but if you ever want to come live on air and talk about your frustrations, I mean, ironically, this was the kind of stream for it, but it doesn't matter now, we're wrapping up. But yeah, and I completely agree with the Don. FUCK, the trolls, absolutely quite extraordinary, especially for Boona. Thank you, Drazera, for your kind words on my my haircut. But yeah, hashtag like the video. Brilliant. So yes, anyway, I'm going to quickly wrap it up there, and I'm just going to quickly simply say this just for 2 seconds really. If you have enjoyed tonight's impromptu stream, by all means just simply hit the like button. There we are, hashtag like the video. Other than that, like I said, thanks to Kev, James, Paulie and Dan, of course, for joining me, talking about their frustrations with this season, almost like thinking, do you know what, to hell with it. We had Dan doing a -8. Kev looks like he's going to do a potential wild card. He's going to be looking over things. If not, maybe doing a -8. To the hell with it. So yeah, absolutely. I just want to thank those guys, and like Dan said, follow us on social media at Elite FPL on Twitter and of course on Instagram. Other than that, cheers guys, and absolutely stay tuned for the weekend, because there will be streaming all over this particular weekend. So thanks everybody, and take it easy.